Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, guten tag. How are you? It's Way T Lightheart here for the Prosperity and Health Alliance, coming at you live from the Ubud Center in Bali, Indonesia. And so, as they say here, swastiastu. Of course, in Hindu they would say namaste, but here it's swastiastu. We bow to you. We're glad to have you here, and delighted to share with you a story that I was supposed to share at the Enagic Global Convention in 2017. However, there was some challenges with the PowerPoint. In other words, I couldn't see what it was on the screen, so I went off the cuff on that one, as I tend to do, and this never got delivered. Then what happened is Enagic has reached out to all the -3s and told us that we needed to write our story. However, I was traveling the world at the time, didn't get the message in time to put it out to the eFriends book, so because we're out busy traveling the world, working the business and all that sort of stuff. So guess what? Nobody got to see that either. So today, I wanted to share with you my story from a 6823, but I want you to not listen to it per se as Wade's story or how he got to 6823. What I would like for you to listen to in this conversation is what you can learn from the challenges that I faced and apply them in your own life. Because if you want to build a global business, if you want to get to the point where you're at -3 and you're making that residual income, and believe me, it's great, you do want to do this, you're going to run into some challenges. You're going to run into some obstacles. It's not all rainbows, unicorns, and lollipops. And for those who know me, I'm very upbeat and I'm very positive about the business, and I'm very positive about, my teammates on the business. But I also want to present to you some of the facts, some of the challenges, some of the heartbreaks, some of the obstacles, some of the things that people tend not to share with you on stage, or people not share with you in maybe some of the opportunity meetings or things like that. And that's not to say that that's wrong or bad, but if you're here today or you're watching this on a recording, I really want to reach out to you because I want you to grasp the heart that it's going to take for you to achieve your goals and dreams. And you are going to come up against what I call your mental paradigm barriers, the blockages that look like crises or challenges, which are actually invitations from God to access your higher self or your better capacity. So if you can just, when you go through this, I would like for you, because I know if you're on here today, you may have, if you're in business, you're having a challenge somewhere. Business is about solving problems for a profit. And the reality is if you don't have problems, you're not really doing your business, frankly. And so what I would like for you to do is to think about the challenges that you're having. And at the end of this, we're going to do a question and answer on the live stuff so that you can ask your deepest, darkest, most challenging questions. And I'll be happy to answer them for you to the best of my ability. So without any further ado, we're going to dive into it. So we call this How We Built a Global Enagic Business by Master Trainer Wade Lightheart. I apologize. You will hear some noise in the background. I am in a public workstation because of the Wi-Fi situation here in Indonesia. But I am here in Indonesia thanks to my Enagic business. And that means I can live anywhere in the world. I can travel any world. I can do business anywhere in the world. And I can have fun anywhere in the world. And my whole goal for you is that you see this and can believe this and know that you can do this too. That's what this whole business is about. You can do this too. You don't need to have a special skills. You don't need a special education. You don't need a background, a PhD, or any of that stuff. Don't get all that up. There's only 7 skills that you really have to learn. We cover them in the PH Alliance training system, and we're going to help you get there. So you do it by yourself, but you don't do it alone. That's the Enagic way. So let's dive into it here. And I always ask the question, how many people would like to build a global business? Raise your hand. That's where you're at home. How many people would like to know a simple and easy format? Most people want to kind of overcomplicate things. Bob Gridelli built a massive multi-million-dollar empire in Enagic simply by putting water bottles in a truck, driving them around to people, and play on a video at people's houses and filling up their jugs. That's it. It's all he did. And he built a multi-million-dollar business. There's power in simplicity. How many people would like to avoid the mistakes that take people out? I'd like to avoid them. I wish I had known some of them beforehand. And then, more importantly, how many would you like to have an automated business system that eliminates all the repetitive tasks? And of course, if you're On this, you're probably already on the Prosperity and Health Alliance Automated Business System, but if you just watching this in video or in the recording, you'll probably want to get on the PH Alliance system because it'll help you and your team grow exponentially. So here's what you're going to learn today. Number one, you're going to learn the initial steps and the mindset it takes to win, to be successful. Number two, we're going to talk about some basic skill development. What are the skills that you need to do? Number three, you need to find a way to establishing your credibility and your confidence, especially when you're down. That's a critical point, because you're going to have down periods, and how do you go down to the well and come back and build your confidence? Then, how do you identify leaders to build a team? Believe me, your team will grow by your ability to identify and coach, edify leaders. I'm here today not because of my own efforts, because of the efforts of a great bunch of leaders that have been attracted to the project, and I want to thank all of them all around the world. Some of you are on the call today. Thank you so much, because you can't do this alone. You know what I mean? You can't do this by yourself. You do it with a group, you do it with teams, and you need to be able to replicate leadership. And you got to become a leader and then build leaders and have them become leaders and build leaders. So how do you coach your leaders to build them? What is the key mental mindset that allows you to do that? And of course, scaling up in today's world's different. It's different than when we started even 10 years ago. And we ran into some challenges that we had to overcome, and we're here to help you share that too. Finally, we're going to talk to you about how to avoid the potholes and pitfalls on the road to success. Believe me, a pothole is, there's potholes, I call them, there's potholes, there's speed bumps, and then there's like total pitfalls. And a pothole is like something, oh boy, that one hurt. And a speed bump is like, oh, this slowed me down. But a pitfall is when you wreck, as I call it, the Wade wagon, or whatever wagon you're driving. And finally, we're inviting everybody to provide your team online training, which we do each and every week with the Prosperity and Health Alliance, because it's a service for all Enagic distributors. And we're happy to share that. So I want to qualify something. Look, the master has failed more times than the beginner has even tried. I want to share with you, a lot of people will look at me or look at some of the other people that go across the stage or doing these speeches, and they go, oh, I can never do that. I can never be like Wade, or I can never be like Eli, or I can never be like Daniel or Cynthia or Michelle or whoever it is that you're seeing. And the bottom line is the reason why they're up there is because they've failed more times than you have. That's it. In fact, they failed oftentimes more times than people have even tried, and that's no different for me. I can't, when I look back to my bodybuilding career, I never won a contest for 10 years before my first one. It took me 16 years to get to the national champions. There was a lot of losses there. There was a lot of heartache. There was a lot of pain inside of that. I remember in my first business, we built it up in 18 months, and then it failed, and we built it up again, and it failed again, and we built it up again, and it failed again. And now that business is 13 years old, and it's successful, but we still have trials, we still have failures, we still have experiences, and there's a lot of failures inside of my Enagic business. Things that I did wrong, sales that I did miss, demonstrations that I botched, people that I said the wrong things to. But the point of the matter is, if you start with the end goal in mind, focus what your end is, not somebody else's, not somebody else's goals. And for me, I wanted that residual income. I wanted the residual income. So I'm going to do whatever it takes, okay? And that is the key component. Do whatever it takes and understand that you are going to get failure. You are going to experience heartache. You're going to experience pain. And that's okay, because each one of those pain points will teach you more. I never learned anything from my victories. I never learned anything from my successes. I learned way more from my failures, because it caused me to recalibrate my brain or my actions or what I was doing, and I came back better and stronger. And I want to encourage you all today, if you're having failures or if you're having success, you're in the right space, but you got to start changing what you're doing. So first of all, I'm going to give you a profile of what is a typical successful candidate. And if there's one thing I've noticed, is a lot of people who are successful in this business were doing well in something else, and then a crisis happened to them. It was an illness, it was a business meltdown, it was a financial meltdown, it was a divorce, it was a personal crisis of some sort, all kinds of things. But for me, what happened is I went through a downturn with my business. My previous business was all but destroyed. There was a potential legal battle over my life's work. This was devastating for me. My name was and reputation was at risk. My business was at risk. I was in a battle with my business partner at the time that took approximately almost four and a half years to resolve. Thank God Enagic came in, and we did fix it, and we did resolve things, and we did win. But it was not easy. The other thing is during this time, I had built up a nice nest egg. However, I spent all my money trying to maintain my lifestyle and get the business running again. I poured a lot, and this was in my other company. And so I really get drained, and things got so bad that my girlfriend at the time, she left for another guy. I had a very few possessions. In fact, I gave the rest of them away and moved out. So where was I when I started? No car, no home, no girlfriend, but I had no surrender. I didn't see these things as losses. I saw them as opportunities. And I use this symbol in a lot of my PowerPoints because I think it's so important, and it's one of the reasons I've been able to bounce back, and I think it's one of the reasons that you can bounce back from whatever crisis that you might have. If you are having a crisis, if you are having a challenge, if you are having an obstacle in your life, or something that's making you stay up night at sleep, or feel that anxiety in the morning, you have to realize it's not a crisis. It's an opportunity. It's an invitation for God to find your innate, natural, super abilities, and you are born great. And recognize that. So as soon as you can reframe that, your brain starts working for you instead of against you. And you have to stop the negative talk at first, and you've got to say, hey, this is an opportunity. I've just got to see the opportunity. And if you look at the history and autobiographies of most of the successful people in the world, whenever they got super successful, it was because of some form of crisis. And so I always say, I talked about this global convention, in every crisis there's an opportunity. You just need to see past the problem. If you agitate the problem enough or get locked in the problem and focused on the problem, all you see is the problem. There's challenges in Enagic. Sometimes the offices don't work. Sometimes the genealogies don't work. Sometimes we don't have these things. Sometimes machines might not be there. Sometimes there's all kinds of different challenges. If you focus on the problem, it's all you're going to see. You need to focus on the solution. Here's the other thing. No matter where you are, your future can improve. I want to share with you, I mean, when I was invited to this, I don't know how many times I was invited to the demonstration. The people that invited me never let up. They kept inviting me over and over and over and over again. Think about that. I didn't want to go. I probably got 10 or 15 invitations to go to this, as I called it, this damn meeting. That's what I called it. I went to it, and then I drank the water. I got the water. So the thing is you can talk about microclustering and alkalinity and ORPs and all the technical jargon at the world. The people that drink the water do the best. You gotta drink the water. Put it to the test, and you gotta drink enough water. And fortunately, I did that. Now, I love the water, okay? So I'm giving you a profile here. I'm not sharing this to tell you about Wade. I'm trying to put in your mind, I'm a 2-3. I'm not saying that to brag, but these are all the obstacles that the people who sponsored me had to go over. I argued intensely with the people that ended up sponsoring me. I fought with them. I said the machine was too expensive. I said, I'm not sure. I think this business model is a scam. I don't know about this. Why is this? I argued and everything, and they stood strong, and they handled all my objections. And what happened? I got a machine. I got a machine. And once I got a machine, I realized this. I needed to build a story. And you've got to build a story around your business. And you've got to tell stories. There's a great book out there called The Storyteller's Secret. And all great companies are built by great stories. So what is the story that you're sharing in your life? Is it a story of health? Is it a story of business? Is it a story of connection? Mr. Oshiro talks about a story of sharing true health with compassion, one family at a time, and he has the 3 pillars. That's his story, okay? And he's built a global billion-dollar business from telling his story. That's the magic of Enagic. Here's another thing. During this process, I had a lot of ego and a lot of resistance and a lot of pain that I was bringing to my meetings and to my things. And here's what I had to do. I had to surrender it. I had to let it go. I had to let go of the old story. I had to let go of the story I didn't have money at the time. I had to let go of the story I didn't have a place to live. I had to let go of the story I didn't have a car. I didn't have any of that stuff. And I still went on to build a business. So when I surrendered and just accepted, okay, here's where things are. It's not great, but it's not the end of the world. And that's it. And just lose all the energy around it. And then what I did is I learned from my sponsors. My sponsors did demos twice a week and trainings on Saturdays. I went to 2 demos a week, and I went to training on Saturdays. I also went to their house. I watched them present. I did the demo. I watched every single demo. I started to share a little bit of my story. I started doing little pieces. I started bringing people to the meeting. I started bringing people to meet my sponsors. I started getting on calls with them and helping them help me. I didn't know anything about this business, but until I surrendered the fact that I didn't know anything and I decided I would learn, then guess what? I started learning. And if you say, hey, well, my sponsor's not that good, or my sponsor doesn't live in this town, you know, that's just a bunch of crap, because there's so much online formats, there's so much videos, there's so many things that you can access right now. There's like a call every night from a top person. There's all these videos online. There's online training systems. We didn't have any of this stuff when I started 10 years ago. And so there is no excuse. If you make your sponsor your excuse, you're the excuse. It's not your sponsor. You don't need the sponsor. It's nice, but there's enough people in video access. You don't need all that stuff. You just got to go out and do it and feel the pain. And just go do it. You'll be fine. Now, here's the other thing. I shared the story everywhere, even when it didn't pay. When I got started, I started telling my story to stages and places because there was no athletes in it, and people use that. When you get the chance, you got to get up there and share your story. You got to tell people, and try and keep it concise. You know, if I made a mistake, it was too long when I'd share my story. So you want to keep it concise. So you got to share your story everywhere and everywhere you go, and all these kind of things, even when it doesn't pay, or even when it doesn't make money. Make the story so that you become part of that. And that could be a business story, that could be a compassion story, that could be a health story, that could be a mission story. Find out what your mission is and share that story everywhere you go. Build up the story so that people are attracted to you. And they say, wow, you ought to hear what so-and-so is saying. You ought to meet so-and-so who's my sponsor. You ought to meet this person and the story and what they're doing. You know, Michelle Rayleigh, she lives in a town with 1 stoplight. It's like dash a million or something, right? You know, think about that, right? You've got these amazing stories in Enagic, right, that are just absolutely phenomenal. Next thing, identify with the leaders, plug in with them. You know, we've got Facebook. Go to the events, reach out, shake hands, introduce yourself, take a picture with them, ask them questions, get connected with your leaders. One of the big things that I knew that I needed to do is I needed to get around the leaders at different events and meet them and talk to them. And guess what? They're not ogres. They're not. They're more than happy to share with you and help with you and have dinner with you and ask questions. You know, all that sort of stuff. So it's really, really awesome. So do that and go for it. Next thing, you help people build a business. You help people in this business. You get people to know you as someone who's contributing to the whole company and be around there to share with everybody. Next thing, you got to teach your team how to do the same. So when you identify with the leader, my early leaders, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, I wasn't successful to this extent that was going to be motivating. I was just getting started. So what did I do? I plugged them into my leaders. I plugged them into the people that were doing it so that they could see success through that person even when I didn't have it, right? So if you look at Mr. Oshiro's philosophy, his story starts with the true health philosophy shared with compassion. And we focus on 3 things. Number 1, the waters for physical health. Number 2, the business for financial health. And we have these 2 things in line. We have happiness and peace of mind. You can borrow that story right now. It's in the company line. It's in the company, you know, mandate. It's in the company mission statement. And you just put yourself into it. Say, hey, you know what? I heard about this water. I found this company. It's an amazing story. This guy from Japan, he teaches 3 principles. It's physical health. It's financial health. And if you get your physical health by drinking this water, you take part in the business model. It can show you how you can pay for your machine, how you can create a tax incentives for yourself for owning, and you can go out there and make a really extraordinary income. When you have all that going for you, you have peace of mind because you're physically healthy, you're financially healthy, and you're socially healthy. healthy because you're helping other people, and that gives you peace of mind, and nothing feels better than contributing to other people. It's great, and you can do it. So there's your story. You can say, well, I'm not sick, I'm not an athlete, I didn't have $1 million, like, you don't need it. You've got $1 billion company behind you, and borrow on their story, okay? So what did I have to do? When I got started, and this is what people aren't going to share with you, they're not going to share with you. I had to build confidence in the story. You got to realize I just lost everything. I was down. I was questioning myself. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it, right? I wasn't sure if I could do this business. I wasn't sure what people were going to think of it. I wasn't sure if I could sell these things. I just fought with my upline for a month about the machine, even though I wanted one, right? I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have a car. I didn't have these things that people say that you need to be successful. So what I had to do is I had to recognize where I was, and I had to find a way to build confidence in a story. So the best way to build confidence, any athlete will tell you, is to start to train, start to read the materials, start to watch the videos, start to go to the demos, start to go to the events. These are the things that allows you to build a story, and it builds your confidence, right? As you learn things, you get confident. As you start to talk these things, they start to anchor into your head. As people start to see it, you get their feedback and see what you need to adjust. So I went back to my roots and I trained. The next thing, I cut my expenses to the bone. A lot of people get lost in this business. They make a little bit of money and they spend a lot of money. You got to cut your expenses to the bone, and you got to keep building up that nest egg so that you can take advantage of the right things. Next thing, instead of getting a home, I slept in my office. I said, look, I want a little pain. I'm not going to spend my money. I'm going to see people in my office. I'm going to sleep in my office. I'm going to make phone calls. I'm going to talk to people. I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to do the sets and reps, right? Arnold Schwarzenegger talks about it in his book, Education of a Bodybuilder. He says, I just realized that I needed 3 things. I needed positive attitude, right? I need to have and a strong work ethic, right? It's a couple of things that you need. You need to be able to do the work. And what he says is, to be successful, you got to do the work. You got to do the sets and reps. You got to make the calls. You got to do the texts. You got to deliver the waters. You got to do the demos. If you look at the biggest successes in this business, it's because they did more demos to more people, more times, delivered more water, whatever it is. They did the deal. They did the sets and reps. You cannot build a Mr. Olympia body like Arnold Schwarzenegger if you're not going to the gym every day and doing lots of sets and reps. The other thing is, in order to do that, you got to get clear on your why. And I wanted to help people, and I needed to succeed. And one of the things that I did when I walked out of my apartment and everything was in shambles, I lost my money, I lost my status, I lost my reputation, I lost all my money, I lost my girlfriend, I lost my beautiful apartment, I lost all of it. And I walked out that door, and the last things that I had, I gave them away. I gave them away. You know why? I gave them away because I said, I don't need this stuff. I'm not defined by these things. What I am going to say is, I will come back to this building. I will come back to this apartment. I will have more than this, and I will do better. That's the story I told myself. And that was the why that I didn't share with everybody. It was deep down inside myself that I kept inside of me, and I let that one fuel the fire, especially when you're dealing with the cold nights and the long drives and the winters that you will face. As you ride the cycle of an entrepreneur up and down. Then I saw my obstacles as advantage. I said, you know what? I'm going to build this business without a car. I'm going to build this business without a place to live. I'm going to build this business with no money. I'm going to do all these things. I set my goals high. I set my goals as building residual income. And then I hustled and looked for others who were willing to do the same. If you want to attract leaders and winners in your business, be a leader and a winner in a business. If you want to attract hustlers in a business, you be a hustle. Gary Vaynerchuk talks about it. And if you look at his an online model, he goes, look, I got no talent. I've got no skills, but I'll tell you what. There's people talented. There's people smarter. There's people better than me. But there is nobody that is going to out-hustle me, outwork. And I'll tell you, if you're willing to do the work, this business will reward you in ways that you can't possibly imagine. So what you got to do is look at your results and double down and triple down and quadruple down and do whatever it takes. I was up till 3:30 in the morning. This morning, I'm up at 7 o'clock to do this webinar over here in Bali. Why is I on the other side of the world? Why am I doing that? Because I know that's what it takes to win. I know that's what it takes for you to win. I would never ask you to do anything different than I was. I'm not saying you have to do that, What I'm saying is you got to pay the price. You got to set the goals high. You got to do the work. And a lot of people don't want to tell you that on the stage. A lot of people don't want to say that, but I want to tell you that. There is work in this business, but it's a work of love if you've got that reason why. And as you start reaching towards those goals and seeing those successes, you're going to say, yes, yes. And that's going to build your confidence, and it's going to build your story. And then when you're sitting there with somebody and they're having an obstacle or they're having a challenge, you're going to be able to share from a place that from your heart, not from your head. You're not telling them about how to be successful. You're sharing with them how you were successful and how they can be too. And that's powerful. Dream big. This is here at the Enagic Global Convention. So there I went just 9 years later, and we were on stage with 4,000 people of our friends in Enagic from all around the world, from a little old broken down life and all that sort of stuff. And you know what? You can do it. So here's how we went from 0 to 6A2-3. Number 1, crisis from high income to no income. Number 2, I saw it as an opportunity to make a healthy business and to help humanity. I was always into helping people. I always was into health. I love that. I saw it as a business that I could get started with no money because I was in a bad financial place with the legal battle and the financial battle and the meltdown on my business and the loss of everything, right? I knew that I needed to take some time to learn the ropes. I needed to learn how to do that. And learning the ropes is going to the demos with friends, giving testimonials, adding things, sharing water, being a water helper, helping set up, helping close down, learning the pieces, sitting with the people afterwards, talking with my upline, going to the meetings, doing one-on-ones, three-on-ones, grouping, everything until I was comfortable doing a presentation. And believe me, when you start doing a presentation, I don't care if you're doing it on a book, if you're doing it in a video, if you're doing it in person, when you do the presentation, it has 2 effects. Number 1, every time you talk about this and share the presentation, it builds up your belief and it builds up your confidence. If you're not doing presentations, and this is the biggest mistake that distributors make, if you're not doing demonstrations yourself, you're not anchoring the confidence that you can access inside of you. And you say, well, I'm scared to do presentations. Do them anyways. Do them in front of the mirror. Practice with your friends. Practice with your family. Tell people in your group, I'm scared to do it. You know, I've got a great friend, Sabine Gadet. Her and Roger have an extraordinary business, an extraordinary story. I remember the first time she was telling her story up on stage, I had to put my hand on her back because she was shaking so bad. But you know what? She knew how this water made a difference with her husband. And even though she was terrified and tears were coming out and all the pain of all the years, she went out and did it. And guess what? Her and Roger now travel the world together. They have an incredible life together. They just lost, like, I don't know, 50 pounds each or 30 pounds or 80 pounds between the 2 of them. They look like teenagers again, and they got back their life after 20 years. I watched that happen, and it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't done those presentations and my leaders done presentations and got that message to them, and now they're carrying on that tradition and their son's involved in it and the son's getting married. It's just this amazing, unbelievable story, and this all started because Mr. Oshiro went and did those presentations. Mr. Oshiro went through a wipeout in his business with his other company. Mr. Oshiro lived in an apartment in Tokyo selling machines out of the back of his car. He did those things. He was willing to do it, and he built $1 billion brand. Tell you what, you can build amazing income too, but you got to do those presentations. The other thing is you got to host regular team demos. It's as Danny D. McCauley says, if you go to church, you need to read from the hymn book. You need to have sermons. If you're in this business, you need to have presentations. You need to connect with your group. And you know what? As soon as you get this strong and going, you got to take it on the road. You got to take it on the road show, whether it's road around your town, whether it's road to other places. This business will take you all around the world. This is proof. I couldn't possibly be further away from Vancouver than I am right now. I'm literally on the other side of the world. It takes me 30 hours to get here by plane at 500 miles an hour. That's how far away from where I started. And we're still doing the show. Why? Because we love it. And we can't wait to be here. So it's awesome. Now, here's another demo. This is me doing a demonstration in Sweden. Do as many demonstrations as I could. I had people say, hey, can you come to Sweden? I said, yes. I had people say, can you come to California? I said, yes. People said, can I come to Texas? These were people not in my groups even lots of times. I flew to the other side of the world. Why? Because I was just mission focused. Just be focused on the mission. You'll get there. Build yourself a story. Take pictures of it. Put it on Facebook. I also established expertise. For me, there was no information, so I created a book, Hydration Breakthrough for Athletes. You can still get that book. Right? And it went through a few different edits and all that sort of stuff, but we came out with a book, and this gave me talking points. You can create your own story. You can create your own information. You can create your own Facebook page now. We didn't have things like that then. Now you can. You got all these digital tools. You don't need the physical ones. So here's how you build influence. Okay, people go, I don't have any influence. Wait, take a little sip of tea. We're flying today. Are you with me? I hope so. But here's the thing, how to build influence. If you want to become influential, if you want to become a powerhouse, number one, you got to connect with your mission each and every day. You got to get that why inside your belly. You got to learn continuously about the topic from qualified people. I learned from Horst Filter. I learned from Corinne Allen. I learned from Tim McKnight. I learned from every single person that presented. I learned from the people that presented differently. I learned from the people that presented the business. I had issues about the business. I had my own blockages about the business. I learned from Siha Top, who taught me about the business advantages. And he was my distributor that taught me the benefits of the business. I learned from so many people. I learned from Cynthia Brugante. I learned from Eli DeFesh. I learned from all of these. I learned from Tamia Colon. I learned from Romy Verdera. Why? Because I just listened to them. And I took pieces of their story and put it into mine. I took lessons that they taught me and I put it into mine. This is the thing. As you learn continuously from qualified people who've done it, it starts to build up your confidence in the transmission of the field. I learned from Mr. Oshiro. I realized, why is Mr. Oshiro so successful? It's not because of what he says in his head. It's what he has in his heart. It's his compassion to other people, and I share that message with people. Build service-oriented relations with successful people in the business, right? Get connected with other people. We'd host groups together. We would support things. One of my closest friends is Fred Brown and Genevieve, his wife. We hung out together all kinds of things. We're not in the same business. Fred Brown drove 2 hours in one direction to deliver water to someone in my organization that needed it and drove 2 hours back for me, for no money, no cost, nothing. That's the kind of people that you can leverage. So are you that person for other people? Because that story, I will never forget Fred and Genevieve for what they done. When I go down to Vegas, they're like, please come to our house. Please stay with us. Now, when Fred puts on an event, am I going to go? Of course I am. You don't have to pay me. I'm happy to help Fred. He's helped my business. And the same thing goes on with every leader in this organization. You need to start seeing the other leaders in other organizations as your friends and colleagues to help build this story together and work with them, not against them. I remember, one of the great distributors in this group from GPM, Balaj Cardos, he was killing it with his team in Vancouver, and they came up, and some people were like, oh my God, who's this guy? He's doing things different. He's doing things different. What did I do? I called up Balaj and said, hey man, this is awesome. Can I learn more? Can you come out to our event? And he came out to our event, and he rocked the house, and his team rocked the house. And it was awesome, and we built a great friendship, and we continue to support each other's efforts. And it's because they don't have to be in your upline to help people. You need to set yourself up as the person as the go-to guy. You need to set yourself up as a team player. You need to set yourself up as an Enagic player. This is how you build influence. This is how you get on stages. This is how you build that powerhouse story, not by shutting things down or keeping things to yourself or not being a team player or stealing other people. Not like that. Build your story. Tell it to other people. Tell it over and over and over again. Get better at it. Study storytelling. Get that book, The Storyteller's Secret. Learn how to build a story. And then you got to hone that story. You got to boil down to the essentials. You got to teach it to the team live. Teach it. See, when you teach it to your team and you start doing your story, you need to pay attention to how other people, are they checking out? Is their body language like rolling their eyes? Are they bored? Or are they leaning in and saying, yeah, give me more? You'll start to hone the parts of your story that's good and the parts that's not so good. We all love to hear ourselves speak, but that's not means everybody else does. So you need to get everybody on board. Another thing, here's what you can do. Write a book, film a video, and get involved with associations. These are areas of influence. So, I'm on the, the Biooptimizers thing. I'm on the Institute of Advanced Natural Health Sciences. I'm on the American Anti-Cancer. I'm in a bunch of associations that help build my credibility. You can get involved with that. You can get involved with your Chamber of Commerce. You can get part of the BNI group. You can get involved in the Kiwanis Center in a local service-based business to help build your credibility, to build your character, to demonstrate to people without saying to people that you are here to help humanity, not just help yourself. And by doing that, that allows you to build influence. The other thing is you need to teach essentials via a digital system. And we put this, and I'll talk about that in a minute. The essentials never change, but digital information has allowed this business to go so much better, and it's why we created the Prosperity and Health Alliance. Leverage it, use it, build your own, use the EWS system, use the systems, rather go to Danny D. McCauley's calls, go to Eli's calls, find the person that you resonate with, go to Tamia's calls, go to Michelle Rayleigh's calls, right? Here's what we do. Look, these are some of the people that we got to meet around. We were here in Hawaii with Siha and John, and that was amazing. Here's a group when we started out in Vegas, right? Here's Creel Hutchison, another superstar. Here's my little godson over here from, actually, this is actually my ex-girlfriend, the one that left me. We've got an amazing relationship. I get along with her and her husband and fantastically. We've got a beautiful thing. And this is a little boy, and I love him, and I go see him 3 or 4 times a year. We do that, and here he's drinking Kangen water. You know, I'm connected with celebrities, you know, Elliot Hulse. We got to do presentations in Florida. I flew, I was up for 56 hours straight before I did a presentation in Florida. I'd gone to Bali and had to come back for it and did a presentation, lost my phone, lost all their stuff. And guess who was on that? Guess who was there that day? Kimberly Bohannon, the person hosting my group, was there, and she's on my team now because that happened. So magic happens when you pay the price. I got to hang out with Mr. Shiro. I talk about when I was in India, connecting with all these people over here. Then we've got team members other here in Hawaii. And guess what? My business partner in the other business, he bought a machine. We built another business together, and we rebuilt the business that I lost. I never would have got this business if I didn't lose the business the first time. I got to connect with all the people in the master training, right? And I found my lady. So isn't that amazing? All of that happened because I'm willing to turn crisis into opportunity. And that's, I'm saying this not to brag. I'm saying this to whatever crisis you're thinking, it's the invitation. It's the opportunity for you. This is your moment. This is your invitation. This is your time. So how do I go to that 2-3? You know, because it's not about selling machines. You got to sell machines on the way. You got to, you know, get people on the health program. You got to get people on the business program. But at the end of the day, what is going to drive your business is leaders. And I was fortunate that I found 3 outstanding leaders in my organization. And these people were not direct. None of them were direct to me. They came through other leaders, but the super leaders came out. The people that were going to build a business with or without me were not people I knew. So you go, I don't know any leaders. That's okay. You know somebody, and who knows somebody, who knows somebody, who knows somebody. So, and here's the thing. When you find a leader, they're going to be the person that you're nervous to talk about. You're the person that they're going to say, oh, they'd be so good at the business. But don't say that. Don't say that they're going to be so good at the business. You say, you know what? I want to connect you with one of the most successful people in my organization because I know you're the type of person that needs to see that. Let me introduce you. You need to edify your upline. You need to connect them with the most powerful distributor that you know and get some FaceTime so that this person can help influence them. And I thank my upline distributors for doing that. It wasn't about me. It was the people around me that convinced them that this was a business for them. And what did they do? They mapped out a game plan for them. I wasn't a 6A when I met these people. So what did I do? I had my upline map out a game plan. And then what did I do? I worked my tail off. I did diligently everything I could do to help them become successful. It wasn't about me. I needed to get them to 6A and 6A2 and 6A3. And I knew that would take care of things. And you know, I can get out of the money and all that sort of stuff. It doesn't matter. Just help build them. I did demos. I did phone calls. I did one-on-ones. I went to training events together. We coached together. We ate dinner together. We went to hotels together. We slept in cars together. We did whatever things. And I cheered and I cheered and I cheered whenever it was appropriate. The stars aligned. If you work hard and you commit to this and you set this as a vision, the stars will align. This here happened, what, every 3,000 years or something like that, where these stars in Orion's belt come up over the pyramids. Here's some of the people in my organization. You know, we had Katrine, who happens to be my ex-girlfriend I told you about. Well, guess what? She ended up introducing me to Antonina, who introduced us to Creel, and that built a big organization. Here's my old buddy Lamont here in Toronto. Boy, wait till you see the new video. He's just turned out right. And Creel introduced me to Rashek, and Rashek introduced me to Savannah, who's built a global business, both of those people. And then my friend Alain introduced me to Siha, and Siha's gone out there and one of the greatest distributors in all of Enagic, and just the biggest heart center guy. He taught me so many things. He's out there building a business day and night, never. And then there's my good buddy from meditation, Lou, who went off and built another organization. And there's my buddy Roger, who I don't even know, like they're like, I don't know, 10 6As removed or something to my organization. And guess what? They're out there building a team, and the thing just keeps going. Now, guess what? Here's what's going to happen. Here's what holds people back. What I call them is potholes, pitfalls, and roadblocks. Okay, and this was introduced to me by my editor, who helped helped me with a number of my books. He was a good friend of mine. And you're going to run into points where you got team members who are too far out of the money in my demonstrations. And you're going to go through a gut check on this one. Am I going to keep doing this? Right? And so you've got to balance both doing the demonstrations your thing, but also training leaders that are in the points inside of that. But if there's nobody in the points, you've got to do those demonstrations. You've got to demonstrate what you're willing to do until that person has been around long enough or has taken ownership, and you've got to encourage them to become a leader, right? That's the key thing. Number two, ran out of direct contacts. You know, I remember getting to the point where I was just like, you know, everybody I know I've talked to them, or they're not in or they're not out. So then I had to find a way to generate leads. Now, the other thing, here's another thing that happened. My upline left. People that brought me in the business, they went to other businesses. Yeah, everybody, get this. I had so many 6As and 6A2s and 6A23s leave between me that now Cynthia Brigante is my sponsor. When I started, that was probably, I don't know how many levels down I was from Cynthia, but now she's my direct because everybody in between's gone. They're all gone. And this happens, right? It happens. So you can't worry about if your upline leaves. That happens in this industry. You become a superstar in this business, other companies are going to come knocking. That's just the way it is. And a lot of people aren't going to tell you that, but you have to realize if you're building successful people, other companies, it's like way back in the day when Microsoft was building their company and Google came out, Google was buying the executives out of Microsoft. And, you know, Steve Ballmer was throwing chairs around in the office with Bill Gates. That's the reports, because they were so frustrated. People were leaving their team. Did that stop Microsoft becoming or Bill Gates becoming the richest man in the world? No. Did they say, oh, well, they took our stars, time to quit, or our upline quit, time to go? No, of course not. They seen it as an opportunity that they could step up into the limelight, and they did, right? And they did. The bottom line is other companies are going to come after you. Other companies are going to pitch your team. Other companies are going to come and go. My policy is I have an open door. Hey, if you think that you need to leave for another company, you know what? Let me shake your hand, sign the papers, there you go. If you think you need to lead for another team, you know what? I'm going to sign the papers. I'll be happy to make sure that happens. I'll do whatever it takes. It's not about me. What I'm going to ask them, though, is what is it that you feel that I didn't deliver? I'm going to take ownership of that. If somebody leaves my company for somebody else's, I'm going to realize that I didn't teach or share the dream big enough for them. Or they got so successful they decided they needed to go somewhere else. It was the right opportunity for them. I'm going to say congratulations, move on, and keep going. Next thing, you will face online smear campaigns. You will have people that will attack your character. You will have people that will say things about you. You will have people mumbling in the audience if you're on stage. Oh, I think every top person in this organization has faced this. And we all know. The bottom line is, are you going to let that slow you down? Are you going to let that slow you down from reaching out to the people that you need to connect with and the people that you love and the people that could change their lives from this water? Are you? Or change their lives financially? You've got to realize the more popular you become, the more hits that you're going to get. The more people are going to be stolen out of your group. The more people that are going to come up whining to you. The more people that are going to call. The more attacks that you're going to get. And you've got to see those things is that you are rising up in the ranks. You are now strong enough to handle that. And these are the opportunities that can drive you. Look at all the famous people in the world. Look at them in the tabloids. You go to the grocery store, all the famous people you know are in the tabloids. All the sporting athletes that you know that we all worship, they're getting booed half the time. In every city, they're getting booed. They get people that hate them. Why? Because they're successful, because they're a winner. And that toughens you up. So don't let those things be roadblocks or pitfalls that stop you in your tracks. Make those the opportunity. Hey, when those leaders leave, that's an opportunity for you to step up and build a closer relationship with corporate. That's an opportunity for you to step up and help influence how you shape your organization. The other thing is, a lot of people in this business run into problems with taxes. This takes out a lot of people. You know, we're independent distributors. You don't get your taxes figured out. Listen, I made this mistake. It cost me a lot of money. I'll tell you what. This is the things that a lot of people aren't going to tell you. A lot of top distributors got in trouble with taxes. Get yourself a good CPA. Get yourself a good tax accountant. Do your due diligence. Take record of this. The best guy I know is Fred Brown. Fred Brown has this thing, bulletproof, Teflon coated, and down, right? He taught me you got to have this stuff in order, and I learned the hard way. And I know a lot of distributors. So get your taxes in order. Don't leave it off to some other places. Travel. Listen, you got to maximize your travel. You got to travel, but you got to make it efficient. You know, I can't tell you how many times C. Hot Top and I slept in cars or slept in other people's houses or whatever to save money while we're traveling, especially early on. We didn't have that extra money, right? All those things. Trials, right? You're going to go through trials. You're going to go through, you know, close people leaving you in the business, your friends that you've built. You're going to go through some hardship. You can't let that jade you. You can't let that beat you up. I talk to all the top distributors. We all know people that left us, things that we spent time with, and that's okay. You never know how things are going to come back. And one of the great things about Oshiro is he always lets people back. But you know what? That worked out. If you treat your business like a family member, and a family member goes off like the prodigal son and goes out and tries other things and fails, are you going to welcome them back? Of course you're going to welcome back your child to the house. And that's how Mr. Oshiro thinks, and that's how we need to think. It's about compassion. It's about building this from the heart. Someone needs to go out and do something else. You go ahead. Someone else needs to do anything. You go ahead. Power to you. Things change over there. You let me know. I'll help you out. That's the attitude of a winner. You don't see it as personal, okay? It's not personal. If you make it personal, that's your story, and it's a story that you've probably been telling yourself since you were a little kid because, you know, you were left out of the cool gang or whatever. And you're running that story 30 years later. Change it. Talked about that lately. Like, change your story. Whatever that story, whatever the thing comes up, whatever your defining thing is, if that's disempowering you, it's a story. In fact, if it's empowering you, it's a story. So why not just tell yourself a story that's good? Because no one knows how the world is anyways. Let's just tell the story that means something. Finally, critical thinking. You got to look at yourself, or you got to get a coach to help you look at the critical points that's allowing you to be successful and allow you to things going. And this is a very difficult thing. Most of us can't do it. And this is why I have a coach. This is why the top people have coaches. This is why, you know, guys like Eric Worre pay guys like Tony Robbins to coach them. Why? Critical thinking, to help them look at things in their business that they can't see. And one of the things that I've always provided for my leaders was critical thinking in their business. I said things to them they didn't want to hear. I said things to them that was painful. I said things to them that they didn't think of. And you know what? Sometimes they didn't like it. And sometimes they did. And sometimes I was wrong. And I own it when I was wrong. I wasn't always, but I was willing to say the hard things or the difficult things or to provide a critical analysis for those people. And the ones that took it, they won. And the ones that didn't, some of them didn't. It wasn't right for them. And some of them, you know, didn't like me. And that's okay. Remember, every opportunity in your life is disguised as a challenge. And here's what I learned. This what I'm going to share with you right now is the biggest secret inside of Enagic. And I want you to grasp this. Listen to this. Only 18% of distributors will ever sell a machine. So 18% of people. So if you realize that if you sponsor 100 people, right, if you sell 100 machines, only 18%, 18 out of those people will ever sell a machine. Now I'm going to tell you something else. Only 1.7% of people in this business become a 4A. So to put that in perspective, if you have 200 people, if you go out and sell 200 machines, 3 of those people will go on to become 4A distributors. But here's the crazy part. Out of those 200 people, those 3 people, 85% of them will go 6A beyond. And that's enough for you to become a dash 3, dash 4, dash 5. So you've got to put your number machine on and understand the expectations. You hope everybody's going to do it, but don't expect everybody to do it. Don't hold the fort for the person that you've got to drag along. Don't waste time on building on people's potential. You encourage them, but you wait and see what they're going to be. And what you do is you commit to getting people to 4A. You do whatever it takes for people in your organization to get them to 4A, and then you're going to find out if they're the leader or not. If they're not, they're going to die off and go. But chances are you're going to find a leader under them that's driving it. To go to 4A is the toughest part in this business. 0 to 4A is the toughest part in this business. I will say that. 0 to 4A is the toughest part in this business. And that's why you as a leader, you need to help that person in your organization get to 4A, and they're going to remember you for it. They're going to see that, and they're going to be making enough money that this is going to take notice for them, right? 4 points is a lot of points, right? You know, we're talking, you know, $1,200, $1,300 a machine. We're getting into some serious cake, right? So this is the number that I looked at, and I realized, and this helped me adjust my expectations and my projections on other people, and then I let go if people got it or not. I went on and moved with the hot potatoes standing. Here's Kimmy. You know, I remember when she needed to get to 4A, right? She blew past that. Now she's building an organization herself. So what did I need to do? I realized at a crisis point, this was in our 6A2, I needed a better way. I needed to upgrade my thinking. I read books on businesses. I hired business coaches. I went to Go Pro with Eric Warren. I invite everybody to go to that show. It's in November this year. Go Pro, and I had an epiphany. You see, I remember when I was stuck at 2-2, I was doing the business the old way without the digital stuff, and the times had changed, and I had an epiphany. And that epiphany is that people had a need for speed. They didn't want to come out to the demos that I was doing. I couldn't get to all the people in my organization. I couldn't talk to everybody. I couldn't be everywhere. And the cost didn't warrant the travel. I got people in my organization that are like, you know, 100 levels down, right? They're 100 levels down. How can I help them? I want to help them. So what we did is we created a digital platform. We trained new distributors, and we needed an automated system. So what we had to do is we had to stretch our mind. This is Stretch Armstrong. Remember those dolls? I had one of those dolls. Those are really cool, right? Kind of looks like me too, right? Right? Kind of a little puffy blonde guy. Here's what we did. We developed the Prosperity and Health Alliance. We created an automated business training. And that means we send 2 training meals every week for 12 weeks, which covers everything from the business. That way that we knew that no matter if you were in Bali, Indonesia, if you were Vancouver, Canada, if you were in Quito, Ecuador, if you were in, you know, Munich, Germany, if you were in Stockholm, Sweden, it didn't matter where you were. You got access to the exact things that you needed to do. Everybody in our team, everybody on the Prosperity Health gets down to the points, the resources, the people, as if we're telling, and we give you a webinar in each one of those things. So what we did is we went and created this whole program so that we could, just like you were hanging out at our house with our leaders, is that you could actually learn right in the comfort of your own home. You didn't have to go anywhere. It was efficient. It was easy. You could review it over and over. You could stop. You could take notes. You can ask questions at the webinars, and we did whatever. And then every 4th email we send out is a review for the sponsor to the distributor review. We send out an email so you can check through the list. So as you want to help your team, you can go through the list to see what things they learned. Finally, we have a business training every webinar, and it's posted on our YouTube channel. You can see it on our Prosperity and Health Alliance. And here's the thing. We make it free and available to all distributors in Enagic. We do this because we love Enagic, and we love all the distributors in Enagic. And wherever a machine sells in this company, it builds the company story, and that helps us, right? I'm driving all over here on my scooter here in Bali, Indonesia, and what I see Enagic Kangen signs. I know some of these organizations are in my business. I know some of them are in other people's business. And I don't know which is which, and I don't care. I just see that the brand's building, and I'm going to get a slice of that, and so can you. Right? So don't see the other teams as adversaries. See them as people helping the story. Here's month 1. Here's all the things that we do. Right? I won't go through all these, but they're inside in your office. Here's month 2. Here's what we go through here. All the different things from testimonies and how to invite people and how to make money and Tony Robbins. And we connect everything that's made our business. And then how to use a system. We could talk about Bob Proctor and Eric Worre and Matt Clemmer and all these different people that have done these things and checklists. We did more training. I went to the Spree training with Don Prosser and Train the Trainer, and we went to that with a whole group of people and learned stuff from Mr. Asobi. It was awesome, right? And then I fell in love again. I found my lady who came to a demonstration, who is now part of it. Here's us at GoPro together, right? And I found a new vision. I found a place that I call home. I'm going to learn my ukulele and play here somewhere over the rainbow. So all of that crisis, from having nothing, from being down and out, from being beaten, from losing everything in my life, to sleeping in my office, to the obstacles, all happened because I connected with a bigger vision, and I saw my obstacles as opportunities. And I'm here to tell you this because I want you to see your obstacles after. I know if you're on this line, I know that if you are here today, that there's challenges in your business. There's obstacles in your business. It's not all rainbows and unicorns. And the bottom line is it's an invitation. Do the things that we talked about here. Apply critical thinking. get things, and pretty soon you're going to build teams like this. This is us at Enagic Global Convention in Las Vegas with some of our team members. So what do you need to do? Number one, you need to share the Prosperity and Health Alliance with everybody that you can. This is going to help you grow your business. You need to retrain yourself. Go through the videos. Go through those 12 weeks. Become the best leader in your organization that you can be, right? Attend these webinars. Ask training questions at the end. And of course, and anything it can do for you, reach out and check in with us and answer our questions here on the Prosperity and Health Alliance. I'm so happy to help you. So with that, I want to thank you. We're going to go to questions in a second, but I want to thank you for kind of going through this. I know it was a lot of stuff I really powered on, but I really wanted to share the ins and outs and the challenges that you're going to experience. And you know what? It's worth it. It's totally worth it. I can't tell you what it's like to wake up in the morning and know that you don't have to go to work. I can't tell you how awesome it is to every month that you know that you're getting a residual check from your life, and every month that you look at the thing and you see how many families are getting new machines, and you think of all the people that you're impacting and all the people that your leader's impacting. And I see that my team members on Facebook traveling the world and sharing their influence. I see them hanging out with their families. I see people vibrating with health. I see people overcoming physical, financial, emotional challenges. I see people coming out of divorces and finding new love again. I see people, coming out of financial ruin and building new finances again. I see people coming out of lack of confidence and becoming super confident. I see people empowering others, and I see you doing it too. You can do this, and I'm here to tell you that this is not an accident. You're in the right place at the right time with the right business, the right team, the right company, the right product, the right mission. It's all of the things. It's check, 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 check. You've got all of those things going for you. Now, what you got to do is you got to get past whatever that story is, and you got to go for it. So just do it. Just go out and do it. That's all I want to say to you. Thank you so much. We'll take your questions at the end. I'm Wayne T. Lightheart from the Prosperity and Health Alliance. Love you.